Hello fellow orchid lovers, it's Danielle here with an update on my orchids. And before I do that, I just wanted to thank all of my subscribers for their comments. Recently I've been getting a lot of questions and I really enjoy having conversations with you all. So keep the questions and comments coming. And also thank you so much for subscribing. When I started my YouTube orchid journey, I didn't anticipate that there would be that many people interested in what I had to say or how my journey was going. And yet somehow just recently I passed the 400 mark for subscribers, which is very humbling to me. I never thought I would even get 100 people subscribing to my channel. So thank you all very much. It really does mean a lot to me. I wanted to share, I know I've shared this phal with you recently, but I wanted to share a mistake that I made with her. I was so interested in protecting her from cold drafts that I seem to have forgotten that hot air also will affect your orchids. So I have her in a spot that she's out of the draft from my back door and she's out of the draft from my front door. But unfortunately, that spot is right next to my stove. And I recently made a roast, and for the first half an hour while the oven was preheating to 400 degrees, I forgot to move her. So we lost several blooms. As you can see, I didn't lose all of them. I do still have this one. She's not in the best shape, but I bought her like that. And then I also had a bud, and the bud is okay as well. And the mitten on her is still okay. And the rest of the blooms are also doing okay. And also there's a spot, let me see if I can find it again. Yep, there it is. There's a spot where she seems like she's developing a branch. So no, long-lasting damage. I just lost a few blooms on her, which is disappointing, but she does have quite a few. So we'll just have to deal with it. And then my Phalaenopsis that I got a while ago, this phal right here, she's the one that had the spike that didn't brown at the tip after all the blooms fell off. She does still have this branch here, but it doesn't really seem to be doing anything. I mean, the mitten is very green. Oh, sorry about that. But it doesn't seem like she's really progressing. However, at the end of her spike, she did develop more buds. I've never had a Phalaenopsis do this before. Usually the buds will fall off and then it will start to die back, and you just cut it by a node and it will rebloom from that node. But this one developed off the tip. So that was really interesting for me, new experience. But what a gorgeous color this phal has. Relatively small blooms. And, other than just this color, there's not a whole lot. There's some white and there's some yellow, but this is such a vivid color. It's just gorgeous. And it looks like I have at least 4 more buds to go, maybe even more, depending on how she feels. So we'll keep our eye on that and try to keep her happy. Another phal that was developing more buds is my Fuller's Gold Stripe. This one, the spike did start to die back, so I cut it right here by this branch. This branch was on the spike when I got it, and it still hasn't progressed to anything. But this branch was also on the spike when I got it, and it's kind of funny. I want to bring you in. Off of the ends of the branch, where the mitten usually is, she just started pushing out another spike. So we have at least 4 flowers coming on that, maybe even more, I'm not sure. She doesn't look like she's done yet. And then down on the bottom by one of the older nodes, she also pushed out another branch. So she has at least 1 bud on that. May turn into more, not really sure. But blooms are blooms, so I'll take them. And then on my keiki, she's doing really good. Her, her leaf, this was the first leaf she got, which is kind of small, but the second leaf is still growing. It's getting bigger, and she definitely has some roots now. She's got another one on the underside, but it's really hard to film, so I'm not going to put you through that. A little branch seems to be happening on the end here. Maybe another keiki, maybe flowers. I'm not really sure. Sebastian, I'm filming again, honey, please. he seems to like to join in on my videos. My dendrobium, this is my first deciduous dendrobium, and I was really nervous about the whole winter rest thing. Am I going to do this right? I kind of erred on the side of caution, and I didn't like completely dry out the orchid. Only once a week I would take the roots and just kind of swish them around in distilled water, no fertilizer. And then when I was done doing that, a few of the, roots would turn green. And then I'd put a little teeny tiny bit of water in the bottom of this glass. Not enough that the roots would touch it, but enough that there would be some type of humidity in the air around the roots. And I think that may have been the correct thing for this orchid, because I'm going to try to bring you in and actually film something that is minute in the extreme. But do you see that little nub right there? There are several spots along the cane that is happening. I mean, that's definitely something. I don't know that it's blooms. It might be keikis. But yeah, it's doing something. My first deciduous dendrobium, and I was so stressed out about it. And, not all the leaves fell. So I was like, uh-oh, am I not doing this right? And yet, it seems like it might do something for me. So I'm really excited about that. Might just be, beginners, whatever. But I'll take it. Okay, so my mini phall's doing really good. I have my mini phall in actually really, really strong light. It's with my cattleyas, and it seems to like it. And I also am feeding it my Vanda feed, which is, a higher feed than my other orchids. So I'm doing like parts per million is around 150 for this orchid. And I know that that's not a lot by manufacturer standards, but for waterculture, at least my method of waterculture, it is a lot. And I mean, this was the leaf it had when I got it. When I started giving it the higher feed, this leaf took off, and now it's even longer than the other leaves that it developed not in my care, which is a new experience for me. Usually I'll get an orchid and I'll unpot it, and it takes me a while to figure out what it likes, and so therefore the first couple of leaves that it gets afterwards, or the first new growth it gets afterward, is always smaller. But this one, that's not the case. So I guess she does like that. These are two of my rescue Phalaenopsis. These are store-bought, just add ice orchids, which I do not do, and neither should you. Common sense should tell you, tropical plant, ice, they don't mix. But anyways, these are just add ice orchids, and I find that whenever I buy that brand of orchid, it's usually a rescue mission. I'm not sure where the problem is, whether it's the nursery or the fact that the store people take that literally and walk around and feed these orchids with ice. And so when I get the orchid home, it's already dying. But there is progress. Like I've said a couple of times, when the roots start to die on a rescue orchid, I do not cut the root. I just take the velamen off so that the root can still go into the water and hydrate the plant. And as you can see, it is working. There's a little root right there. There's another one around the back, and then there's another one poking out right there. What I'm doing with this one is, it's not long enough to go down into the water yet without putting the stem in the water. So I'm putting a piece of paper towel over it and down into the water, so the water is kind of soaking up the paper towel and keeping the root green and damp. Seems to be working. I am getting roots now, so that makes me happy. This is another rescue. Been in this shape for quite a while now, but getting green tips. Where are you? On her roots, you see that? And then a new root poking out there. So I think she's starting to turn a corner too. Now, the orchid that I have had for the longest, June will be 2 years. This orchid was in this shape. Not that long ago, maybe a couple of months ago. As you can see, the new leaves are tiny. I mean, this orchid went through some major stress. The leaves went limp like this, and then she started pushing roots, which she does have quite a few now, as you can see. But even more thrilling than that, what do you see there? I see a flower spike. She's actually gonna put up a flower spike for me. So I am over the moon. And I just wanted to share that with you because you can take a phal from this condition and turn it into that. This is an example of that. So exciting. When I saw this, she's up in my window and she's about the height of my head. So I out of the corner of my eye saw something green and I was like, wait a second. And I saw that it was a flower spike and I did a happy dance and my husband was laughing at me. But I mean, this orchid was in this condition not that long ago and now she is firm and healthy, putting out new roots, putting out a spike. Success, and I'm thrilled. Now, just a few more orchids to update you with. My Renko stylist Gigantea, she is losing her blooms. I'm probably going to cut the spike off after this video. A few of the blooms fell in the water, so I also have to clean that out. She is getting a new leaf there, but I wanted to share this with you, and this is probably going to fail miserably. But she's getting another spike, and I hope I can show you. Come on. It worked. There we go. Can you see that little bump in there? She's got another spike. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I think she's a pretty happy lady. The red one is also starting to fade. It's not as bad, so I'm going to keep that spike on for a little bit longer. But the flowers here and there are starting to drop off. My Meltassia, I think it is called now, Shelob Tolkien, is finally putting out roots. That new growth was about yay high when I got it. And now it's finally nice and big. And she's putting out roots. And hopefully we'll get a spike. It doesn't look like this particular one has spiked before, so that might be the first spike. But it looks like the new growth is pretty healthy. And I did have a Shelob Tolkien once before, and it seemed to put out the spikes before it was completely mature. So we may get spikes relatively soon. And then I wanted to update you on two of my Fusarium orchids. This one is my Shari Baby. She had two new growths on her that I cut off of the main plant, and I have in this vase together. They've developed new growths. The pseudobulbs never really matured, but they developed new growths. Then this weaker new growth in the back is doing something strange. I don't know if it's a new growth. I don't recall the new growths looking like this, but I can't think that it's a spike. That can't possibly be a spike, can it? It looks like a new growth to me, but you can see the pseudobulb kind of popped out of the side, and then this popped out too. So I don't really know what I'm thinking this new growth is kind of failing, and it's trying again. That's what I think it is. If it turns out to be a spike, I'll be over the moon, which probably I shouldn't let it spike because it's just a single pseudobulb that has not fully matured. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But hopefully it's just a new growth so that this plant can get bigger. And then the other one that I wanted to share with you, this is a wildcat. And you don't see this in my videos very often because it frankly wasn't doing anything. I got it, I found out it had Fusarium, I was kind of disappointed, and I mean, I'm doing my best with it, but as you can see, the pseudobulb started to wrinkle, the roots were all dead, it was not in good shape. It did come to me with a new growth, but for quite a while, it kind of hovered on the brink, and it didn't seem like it was doing anything. Well, now it is. As you can see, the new growth is doing really well. It's getting very tall, and looky there, new roots on the new growth. So I do feel like the Fusarium treatments are working. And if anyone has questions about the product that I used or what method I'm using to give them the Fusarium treatments, I do have 2 videos dealing with that probably about 6 months ago. And they both say in the title Fusarium, so they're pretty easy to find. So yeah, that's my orchids right now. There are other things going on. I have a lot of new growths on my Cattleyas. No sheaths or anything like that, but I think they're all doing pretty well. I don't know how much I liked using a grow light this year, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do next year. But I'm excited because the weather's starting to get nice. And I am thinking of maybe taking a few of my orchids and trying to grow them outside and see what happens, because I have a lot of Cattleyas. A lot. And I was also thinking of maybe doing like a culture video, like just a video explaining, you know, with the water culture, what exactly that means, what I'm doing. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you're all doing well. And again, thank you so much for contributing to my channel and commenting and liking my videos. And I will talk to you all next time.